Hey guys. So in one of our earlier videos that we titled Increase Peace and Profits by Delegating, we were talking about $1,000 an hour work and why you needed to be doing that and not your $10 an hour work, and why you need to farm your $10 an hour work out so you can do your $1,000 an hour work. And I just know that heads were turning over the idea of doing work that makes you $1,000 an hour. So we want to unpack that a little bit more thoroughly in this video.
Absolutely. And the $1,000 an hour work is it's going to require you being intentional about doing it, because it doesn't earn you $1,000 an hour right now. So if it did, then yes, you would prioritize that.
Yeah, you would have
But
no problem when you wouldn't need us to kick your butt into
yeah.
doing it. But we're not get rich quickers, and
Yeah.
we're going to play the long game. And
Yeah.
assuming that that's what you're doing too, then
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things and we're going to kind of try and give you some broader categories, because obviously this is going to look different depending on who you are and what you're doing, what your business is like, all of those kinds of things. It's going to vary some. There's going to be some probably common threads through things. But so we're going to try and talk in generalities as well as specifically, this is what we do. So hopefully, and this is something that, you can go before God and get some strategy and have him help you. Like, what does that look like for me? So that's a great question for you to take notes and go sit before him and say, okay, now what?
What are you unbelievably good at that everybody else finds hard?
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
Your genius areas.
Yeah. And those are that tend to be the most difficult for us as people to spot, because they tend to come second nature. So we tend to undervalue them, whereas we need to not do that.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's that thing that's so easy and you can't figure out why everybody isn't doing it the way you do it. And
yeah.
because it's not easy for them.
Yeah. And for me, just kind of a silly example, I had a roommate in college, and we were in I can't remember, I think it was chemistry class or something like that, and she just could not get, and I couldn't help her because I didn't understand why. Like, it just is like, this is not hard, I don't understand. And she got so frustrated with me, and I was frustrated because I wanted to help her. But I'm like, I have zero concept of why this is hard for you. Like, I just don't get it. So in that case, that was, kind of those areas that, so if there's things like that in your life, then take note of those.
Yeah. It is it's difficult to come up with these things. It really does take some thought. I actually printed a list so that when I have my free time, I'm not like spinning my wheels trying to figure out what I should be doing. I'll just pick something off the list and know that that is going to be neighborhood of $1,000 an hour work. We're not looking for exact, it's your best guess. What do you think that you're doing that is going to pay dividends down the road?
Yeah.
In our last video that we were talking about this, Alice and I were talking about books. That's one thing. We're both writers. We're multi-book authors, and we've found that books pays off for us. So, $1,000 work for either of us could be sitting down and writing a chapter. But we want to help you get your list. So we've got a worksheet for you if you want to download it. And hopefully that will help you fill out what your big areas are that you can sit down and be intentional about. We would recommend doing like an hour a day if you could, of just $1,000 an hour work. And then you've still got time for all the piddly things, but that's done and out of the way. And you're going to get somewhere. You're going to get traction in your business if you do those things. Some ideas that I have for what I have down on my list is strategizing and planning. Because if you don't plan and you don't have strategy, then you're just running around like a chicken with your head cut off.
which is not
And
$1,000 an hour work.
yeah, yeah. And it doesn't seem
Maybe
like it
zero
is.
dollar an hour work.
It doesn't seem like it would be $1,000 an hour work, but it really can be. So
Yeah.
um, for me, writing literally anything is $1,000 an hour work, whether it's website copy, if I'm just tweaking things, the way that I say things. I can write an email and make $1,000. I could do a blog post. I can create some ads. I can work on this next class that I want to roll out.
Mhm.
I put product development down there, and that's a very broad category. That's for me making new products, be it information products or tangible products. I sell both. Um, and doing research is another big one for me. So it may be for you too.
Yeah.
Research is a big deal in most companies.
Yeah. As is product and development. Typically, they
Yeah.
have entire sections of it. So, and that's planning for me is one of those. Of course, I'm a planner. I like planning. But for me, and I've recently added, I've always done, or not always, but for quite a few years now, I've done quarterly goals, and then I've had kind of weekly things. And I always tried to have like one of those $1,000 an hour projects that I was focusing on for the week. So recently, I learned about something new where they talked about um, doing setting goals that are for things that you're going to get done, not just that you're going to do, you're going to get done in 12, well, like 12 hours, 12 days, 12 months, or 12 weeks, and then 12 months, which I liked that. I liked just the mental shift for me of, okay, what can I get done? Not just what do I want to do? Because then it forced me to really think through, okay, here's my bigger goal. Here are the small things I can get done in X amount of time. So, and that's, I read a book about it just this last weekend, and it's already proven very productive for me. So, because I was very intentional about, okay, so 12 days is almost 2 weeks. So I've got, I have things that I wrote out, like, what are my priorities? And then I kind of divided up, okay, what do I think I can get done this week versus next week? So, and it's Friday morning as we're talking about this, and I've got all my stuff done that I
Nice.
wanted to get done this week. So, and I'm
I
working
did
on
not.
next week. Yeah. It doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
This is not
I was gone. I was gone.
Yeah. Well, and for me, I have a hard time knowing like how long something's going to take, and so sometimes I've written out my weekly goals and I've gotten everything done on Monday, and then there are some things that have been tabled for a month because they just, have taken a lot more time than I thought that they would. So
there's a fire under my butt on Mondays. I can get a lot knocked out. But yeah, this is mine.
Yeah.
Weekly project task list. And there at the top it says priority focus. So I have one, well, I have two there, but I should have one thing that I get
break
done.
our own rules.
Yeah. Everything else is optional, but that one thing.
Yeah.
So then I've got it broken up into categories: stuff I'm writing, stuff I'm doing for the subscription box club, because that's one whole, it's almost its own business. And then I've got Freedom Flowers product development, because I always want to be pushing forward in that direction. Freedom Flowers in general, which can be about anything. And then Supernatural Business, which is our business class. What am I doing there? What new things am I learning? Because I always want to be learning something new. And then I don't like doing the legal crap. So I put something into the legal thing that I just do one little step per week. And then a personal goal. And under that, I have commitments Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and so forth. So if there's anything that absolutely has to be done on one of those days, then I can at least see it and not fill that day up too tremendously.
And I don't tend to, my schedule varies quite a bit. So I don't tend to get get that specific. So although I like that you've got like the one priority, so which I haven't done really real well, but I sit down every quarter trying to get to, and I come up with like my 3 big things that I want to do. That's that quarter. So, and then I have it in my planner of the 3 basic things that I want to do, and then I can reevaluate and assess, and then I kind of chunk those up into, so I've got my yearly goals, then I break them into quarterly things, and then into weekly over the quarter. So that's what I have done and found very helpful. And and just like you were saying, Seneca, if I know, okay, this week I'm focused on this particular thing, then when I have extra time in my schedule, I'm productive, because I know I don't spend a lot of time trying to figure out, well, what do I do? What should I be doing? I know what I should be doing. So I like to have and I like to have a variety of tasks on, and that's one of the things that I'm learning as I figure out a little bit better how much time stuff takes. Still not very good at it, but I like to have a variety of things. So if I've got, like, if somebody didn't show up for a meeting or whatever, and I've got, a spare 45 minutes or an hour or something that I wasn't anticipating, then I've got something that I can plug in that hole and get
Yeah.
something done. So, or, I tend to be early most of the time. I hate being late, so I try and be early. I do not always succeed, but so I have things that I can kind of work on that don't require a lot of focus, and I can shift to whatever I'm waiting for. So
Yeah.
I
Well, and
have,
if it's right there in front of your face, you're not,
Mhm.
trying to come up with something and coming up with the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, because and before I started doing this, I would always do stuff, but
Yeah.
generally it was like, well, dang it, I wanted to do this and I completely forgot about it, and it would be. And then, a couple months later, oh, that's right, I was gonna, so that just went on for forever. I'm like, this is just not working. So because and like we said, that's the $1,000 hour work stuff is usually that kind of thing that gets neglected because it's not loud. It's,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
isn't urgent, but it's incredibly important. So, so yeah, planning for me is a very big, um,
Well, and you have like umpteen million businesses. And that's where I run into trouble with what I have, which isn't
yeah,
very much,
yeah,
but keeping my eye on all those different aspects. So I have my sheet to sort of,
yeah.
okay, what am I doing with this at this point?
Yeah. And that's kind of what I do. I prioritize things by, and one of the things I started doing this year is I took a look at, okay, where is my effort paying off? And I've made some choices and I've prioritized some things because that's where I'm seeing the fruit.
Mhm.
So, and partly some of it monetarily, but there's other ways of measuring that. But there are some aspects of what I do that have not been very fruitful. So I have deprioritized those so that I can focus on the things that are. Um, and that's and then I got kind of thrown the the curveball of the magazines, but which has disrupted my original planning in January a little bit. So, but the nice thing about that planning is, like I haven't dropped the ball on all of that. I'm continuing to move forward on those things, even though. So it kind of helps you to avoid bright shiny object syndrome as well. Even though, I mean, I have gotten a new bright shiny object or two,
Couple
but
of 'em.
so but that was something that, okay, well, if I focus and get it systematized like we talked about in the earlier video, then it isn't going to I was able to make those decisions and make the plans and strategize. Okay, how is this going to fit so that I'm not going to completely, it's going to be disruptive at the beginning, but it's not going to completely derail everything else that I'm doing.
Yeah, and you can handle it when it's, a little bit to get it going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's when it mushroom clouds on you because it is going and you didn't have a system.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I have learned from painful experience. But we talked about more of that. The other thing, just like Seneca was saying, for like product development right now, one of the things that I'm doing, I have a series of books and I'm working on so kind of that are building block elements for a new series of books that I'm developing. So some of that is not necessarily a brand. It doesn't necessarily need to be a brand new thing that you're doing, but is there something that you're already doing that you can, kind of turn on its head a bit, add a little bit more to it, and package it up as something else that's going to be more targeted for, and that's for these, they're more targeted. So this was as much a marketing strategy as anything. So that thus far has been, I mean, it's a fairly new thing, but it's already shaping up to be a very smart choice. So
Nice.
yeah.
You were talking about the taking everything and packaging it into this and then packaging into that, and I'm like, that's like a fractal.
Yeah.
It starts here and then it's this and this and this and this. It's bigger and bigger.
And there's a lot of truth to that, and I think that that's something, and we both do that with our writing, again, that's one of the, and I think it's one of the easy places, but it doesn't have to be intellectual property kind of stuff. There could be all kinds of other things that you can, take your widget, and if it's really good for this, and this, then maybe not just have one packaging for all three of them, have one that's very much, and is there some other thing that added to it would really help the person be able to do whatever they want to do with it easier or whatever. So, and because that, and it's, I think it can kind of sound a little bit like you're trying to, I don't know. I think it can kind of sound like you're trying to skate along easier, not, put in the work or whatever. But what you're actually doing is you're packaging your product so that people understand better how it is going to help them. So, which that is, it's a win-win. So, and I think so much of the time in business, we tend to think in terms of win-lose, like I am taking money from somebody. No, they are giving you money in exchange for something of equal or better value to them. So that is a win-win. So I get to do the thing that I love, and it, and still eat and have a house over my head and all that kind of stuff. They get to have the benefits, that they have. Commerce is not a win-lose. So I think if it is, you're doing it wrong. So
don't scam people, boys and girls.
Yeah. So, but if you have a product that genuinely is of benefit to people, then it really is your moral obligation to let them know how they can benefit from it. So they may not choose it, and that's on them, but you're not hiding your candle under a bushel, as it is, as the song goes. So, but so hopefully, let's see. Oh yeah, and marketing was another one of those.
Yeah,
ads
on that list.
Yeah, all of those kind of things. That's $1,000 an hour work, and that is a little more difficult because I think to sometimes wrap your head around, because it's costing you money at the beginning. So, and if things are
And or
tight,
time that
yeah,
doesn't pay off.
yeah, yeah,
There's
depending
definitely,
on what kind of marketing. If you're running paid ads, then obviously they're going to cost you
yeah.
money. But so, but that if you don't market your thing, then you're not going to sell your thing. So,
Yep. You got to figure it out. And it is a learning curve.
mhm,
You can take all the classes and all the good advice, but in the end, every business is just a little bit different and
yeah,
you've got to figure it out.
yeah, and how it works for you, so that you're
Yeah.
marketing from a place of authenticity. Because if you're not, then then people are going to sense that, and they're going to assume that you're doing something shady, when it could just be that no, it's not that your product or your service or whatever is shady. It's just you're not being true to who you are. And so they're picking up that there's a disconnect between there's just something that's not quite congruous.
And
And
that's just one of those things where you've got to hear God too. Because,
mhm,
like how we teach marketing in our class, there's 5 things that need to be accomplished for the customer sales process, and how you accomplish each one of those 5 things can vary hugely. So we lay out examples for each one of the
mhm,
5 things, and I tell you to go back to God and go, which one do I do, which one's right
mhm,
for me in my business, or more than one usually,
yeah,
and you pick them out and then you start implementing,
mhm,
and that's your whole little marketing plan in a nutshell.
yeah, yep. Yeah, and I think a lot of times the marketing is sales, um, and it is influencing people. A lot of times people are afraid that it's manipulative, and manipulation is the dark side of influence. When you are, and it kind of goes back to the win-win, like or win-lose. If you're manipulating somebody, then it's a win-lose, because you're trying to get them to do something that is not in their best interest. Um, if you are marketing through influence, and not like to be an influencer, like, that word has kind of been, but you are influencing them through your copy, through everything that you say and do, to consider what you're saying and to see if that is going to be a win for them. So, and that is a win-win situation. So there's, and that, and again, it's, if you see somebody walking, towards a big pit, it is in their best interest for you to say, hey, wait, stop. So, it's not, if you have something that you truly believe is of benefit to people, then you need to deal with whatever head trash that you have, so that
Mhm.
you can. And I mean, I've not perfected this. I'm speaking to me as well, because that is something that the enemy is going to attack you with. That, like, oh, it's, sales are smart, slimy and smarmy, and it's this, that, or the other thing, and it isn't. So,
I think, you're talking about manipulation, and my mind went straight to witchcraft,
mhm,
and that's what we're picking up on that, and we're repelled by it, and
mhm,
we've equated marketing with that,
yeah. Well,
which
and
is
to be
awful.
fair, because some of it
Yeah,
is
I mean, we've seen it.
absolutely, yeah, we've seen it. But that's the counterfeit. Yeah, that's the counterfeit of,
Service,
that, yeah,
genuine service is what it is, if you're
mhm,
doing sales right.
yeah, yeah, for profit, absolutely for profit. So, and
Yeah, but you
that's,
still have to be able to keep doing it.
mhm, yeah. So, and that's, I heard a rabbi, say one time that, his receiving of funds was an indication of how well he served one of God's children. That is kind of like their mindset. So to become wealthy, to earn, a lot of money, means, in at least for him, I kind of assume that's probably culturally because they do tend to be a very blessed, very wealthy population overall. Like statistically, these are not poor people. So, so they see those things, the increase in income as a direct
correlation.
Thank you. With how well they've served God's children and whatever it is that they do. So, and that enables them to be served by others, and it's just a good thing. And that to me was a very helpful way of looking at that.
Yeah,
So,
that does help.
yeah, because that's and you do have to be cognizant of your finances, your money, all of that kind of stuff. You're not in this to be a servant, but you are in this to be of service. So in that you're not in it to lose your shirt. That's not a good plan. Go bankrupt or any of those kind of things.
Well, the more money you have, the bigger you can build it, the more people you can help, the more people you can reach.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it.
Yeah. Well, and it's, just from the perspective of an artist and someone who works in kind of the non-necessity of things, it is the people who have money that are able to purchase my work. So that is a, also another thing that culturally you're able to encourage those who are producing the kinds of cultural elements, be that TV, be that artwork, whatever, music, all of those kind of things that then, help to shape the general culture at large. So there's a lot of kind of direct and then indirect benefits of having money. So, and it's the love of money that is the root of all evil. It is not the money. So, and we're not prosperity people, as in that's your right, and your that $1,000 bills are going to rain from heaven out of this. That'd be nice, but it is a reward for you stewarding what God's given you well. So
yeah.
So I think
$1,000 work. Do
Yeah.
some of that every day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
All righty, we'll have a link for the worksheets in the description so you can go and grab that. I'll talk to y'all later.